Hey there, I'm Sarina from Orion AI Media, where we dive into everything AI, from automation tools to how artificial intelligence is transforming our daily lives. Today, we're diving deep into the history of cloud computing, and trust me, understanding this evolution is absolutely crucial because it sets the foundation for everything we see in AI today. Now, while I love talking about AI and automation, cloud infrastructure is a massive topic that deserves expert attention. So, I've brought in our resident cloud expert to walk you through this fascinating journey. Let me introduce you to Luna, our cloud computing specialist here at Orion AI Media. Luna has years of experience in cloud architecture and infrastructure, and she's going to take you from room-sized computers all the way to the powerful cloud services that fuel our modern digital world. Luna, take it away.
Thanks, Sarina. I'm excited to share this story with everyone because cloud computing is truly one of the most transformative technologies of our time. Let's start our journey in the 1960s, when computers literally took up entire rooms. These mainframes were absolute giants, but here's what's incredible. Despite their massive size, any one of these systems had less computing power than the smartphone you're probably watching this on right now. And they were incredibly limited. They could only work on a single task at a time with input from just one user. Imagine having to wait in line to use a computer. This is where our story begins. In the early 1960s, DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, challenged MIT to develop something revolutionary, a computer that multiple people could use simultaneously. The researchers weren't necessarily thinking about cloud computing as we know it today. They were more focused on what would eventually become the internet. But what they established was the concept of virtualization, multiple users accessing the same centralized system. That's essentially the foundation of how we use cloud services today. The 1970s brought us IBM's game-changing breakthrough. They developed the first real instance of virtualization, the ability to run multiple software-based server instances on the same physical hardware. This was still running on those massive mainframes, but here's what was revolutionary. For the first time, you could have separate, distinct operating environments running simultaneously on the same physical machine. That core concept is exactly how virtualization works today, just infinitely more sophisticated and user-friendly. The 1980s and early 90s were dominated by personal computers and the development of the internet. But the late 1990s is when cloud computing began taking its modern shape. This era introduced software that you could purchase and download online instead of buying physical boxes with CDs or DVDs. You still had to install it locally, but think about the implications. Suddenly, anyone with an internet connection could access software from anywhere, at any time. We had our first taste of centralized software distribution, and it was just the beginning. Here's where things get really interesting. Once users had these applications installed, they could all connect to a centralized server or database. Real-time data sharing became possible on a global scale. Salesforce perfectly exemplifies this revolution. Multiple users could access the same database of clients, contacts, and sales information from anywhere in the world. This fundamentally changed how teams collaborated. The key difference from traditional local networks was that this centralized data lived on the internet, managed by external companies rather than your internal IT department. That shift changed everything. The 2000s introduced the cloud providers that dominate today's landscape. Amazon Web Services launched, offering storage and computation services. For the first time, businesses could create and use virtual machines online without owning any physical hardware. Google revolutionized productivity with Google Docs and spreadsheets, full document creation and editing capabilities that were compatible with Microsoft Office, requiring nothing but a web browser. Microsoft joined the party in 2010 with Azure, offering comprehensive cloud services from storage and virtual machines to content delivery networks that could place web content as close to users as possible. Here's the economic genius behind cloud computing's explosion. These massive companies built incredibly robust infrastructure for their own operations, but they were only using about 10 to 15% of their total capacity. The solution was brilliant in its simplicity. make the remaining 85% available to other businesses and individuals on a subscription basis. That's the public cloud model that powers much of our digital world today. This led to the public cloud, massive shared infrastructure that anyone can access. But not every organization wanted their data on public infrastructure. Enter the private cloud. Organizations build their own centralized data centers and make those resources available internally to different departments or branch offices. And then we have hybrid configurations, the best of both worlds. Organizations use private infrastructure for sensitive operations while leveraging public cloud services for additional capacity and new capabilities. For example, a company with multiple branch offices can connect them to their main data center privately, but seamlessly integrate public cloud services when they need to scale up quickly. The impact has been revolutionary. Today, a startup can launch with enterprise-grade services without owning a single server. New solutions that used to take weeks or months to implement can now be deployed in hours. All of these services are available globally, on any device, as long as you have an internet connection. Cloud computing didn't just change technology, it democratized it. Now, here's why this history matters so much for AI. Everything we see in artificial intelligence today, from large language models to image generation, depends entirely on cloud infrastructure. The computational requirements for training and running AI models would be impossible without the cloud computing foundation we've just explored. When small companies can access the same AI capabilities as tech giants, it's because of this decades-long cloud evolution. Cloud computing democratized access to powerful computing resources, and now it's doing the same thing for artificial intelligence. And that brings us full circle to why understanding cloud history is so important for anyone interested in AI and automation. Sarina, back to you.
Luna, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you for taking us through that incredible journey from room-sized mainframes to the cloud infrastructure that powers everything we do today. I hope you can see now why we spend so much time talking about cloud computing here at Orion AI Media. It's not just background technology, it's the foundation that makes all of our AI innovations possible. Whether you're interested in AI automation for your business, curious about how these technologies work, or just want to stay ahead of the curve in our rapidly evolving digital world, understanding these foundations is absolutely crucial. If you found this deep dive valuable, please hit that like button. It really helps us reach more people who are curious about AI and technology. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Orion AI Media for more insights into artificial intelligence, automation, and the technologies that are shaping our future.